Welcome to the Digital Marketing Insights podcast, brought to you by Brightside Digital.
Hi everyone, welcome to the show. I'm delighted to say we have Dan here today. Dan is the marketing team lead at his company. Dan, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Tom. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much for being on the show. Dan, first and foremost, I'd like to ask you, can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Yes, absolutely. So I've been working in marketing now probably over 10 years. Well, not probably, but yes, over 10 years, which has been great. I completed a 4-year degree. So I got my honors degree in marketing management. And from then on, I went on to a company called Mothercare. So that was my first marketing role, which involved very, very traditional marketing at the beginning. And from then, of course, as the growth of e-commerce, and we all know how much has grown since then, I decided to take a big interest in that, which then would lead me into digital marketing. And I was with Mothercare for a couple of years. It was great. It was a great experience. A lot of new technologies came while I was there, and there was a lot of graphic design as well involved in that role. So it was good to get that experience. So I was there for 2 years, and from there I moved on from the B2C market then into the B2B world, which is the position I'm in at the company I'm in now. So yeah, that's where I'm currently at.
Brilliant. And yeah, like some of your experience, like I can imagine, we'll touch on it in a minute, but I can imagine Mothercare Ireland is such a wonderful, like family-run business. But yeah, first and foremost though, Dan, what would you see as your main strength in digital at the moment?
So that's a really, really tough question. And I feel, especially for working for like SME companies, the marketing roles, especially digital marketing, because it is still quite new for a lot of companies, and getting involved and picking out a specific element. I mean, of course, the big multinational companies they delve into all these different experts and bits and pieces. But if for most marketers that go out there and have finished a degree, it's quite difficult to get into picking exact topic that you want to concentrate on. However, in saying that, so I mean, I would have looked at all the different elements of digital marketing in my past, from social to email, content, all of the different bits and pieces. However, from a B2B point of view, our biggest and most important communication advertising would fall in email marketing.
Interesting.
So yes, that probably would be the biggest area that we'd focus our time on, communicating with our customers, and try to, all our different marketing messages and campaigns is really driven through that to get them to our e-commerce store.
That's brilliant. So email marketing from the top, was this something you started off in Mothercare first and foremost? You mentioned graphic design there. So is that something you brought into your new experience? Is that something you've learned in the last 8 years?
Yeah, I mean, so for Mothercare, because Mothercare was a little bit different, it was a B2C, so that did involve a lot of, online Google advertising, SEO. However, with B2B, it's the current company I'm with is very, it's a closed website. It needs to be a login. So not really, SEO is kind of put on the back foot, and as well as Google advertising. But so email marketing, yeah, that was definitely involved with Mothercare. I mean, that's where it kicked off. That's where I learned from the team there about how important it was for email, and the audience at Mothercare at the time was massive, compared to the audience that we have. Again, as it's it's a smaller customer base. So yeah, it began with Mothercare. A lot more automated emails within Mothercare as it is to now. But yeah.
That's brilliant. And tell me more about how you go about building out really good email campaigns. So, what software do you use for your emails? And is there a lot of automated journey, or is it a lot of bespoke or unique talking to people?
Yeah, well, from ourselves, okay, so we use Mailchimp. It's probably the most well known one out there. We actually I've used that in the past. It's a nice tool. It's easy to use. From a design point of view, yes, it would. Most of our emails are designed within the Adobe suite, so it's through Photoshop and Dreamweaver. So they're the two tools we use for creating. We try to keep our content quite, branded, well recognized. It's coming directly from ourselves. Very consistent with our campaigns. But yeah, I think the most important thing that for us, and again from a B2B point of view, is that our list that we have a healthy email list. Sometimes people think, okay, we've got this great list. However, if they're not opening it and not interacting with it, then it doesn't work. And one big example is one thing that we did really need to focus in on was having a really important relationship with our sales team, because they're mostly on a day-to-day basis speaking with the guy at the counter and not necessarily the owner of the business, who may or may not be the one who is transacting. So ensuring that we have that guy at the counter who's placing the orders, they're signed up. They're the ones who are getting the communication. We found that was super important for us to make sure that we had the right list and we're reaching the right people. So that's one thing I will always say, that the relationship with our sales team, especially from a B2B, needs to be really tight and really, really important to have. Within that as well, I mean, we do some A/B testing. We kind of we always have competitions in our job, so, whether it be, okay, if someone will pick this and which one's going to win, it's a bit of fun. I always like to add a bit of fun within the role. But yeah, and because, a lot of our audience is we segment it depending on what type of customer they are. So using the tag feature within MailChimp is quite important to us, so that we're not sending emails to people that just doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
Sometimes, so we would have products that would be specifically for a power tool company, and yet we would have other products that would be for a beauty and well-being. So sending a power tool email to someone who's involved in beauty and well just doesn't make sense. So important, again, to, from a list point of view, that the list is healthy, it makes sense, and you're not annoying people and sending them emails that could ultimately lead to them unsubscribing. So that's something that I find really important.
That's really interesting. So tell me a little bit more about how you tag and segment out your audiences. How does that work?
Well, again, it would be through the communication with the sales team. So we would have a massive list within our ERP system of our customers, and again, like I said, like a lot of those emails, sometimes those emails will be from their accountants. Okay, and that's what we've learned from this. That the emails that were put in originally, they're accounts emails, that they're not the actual buyer. So from relationship with the sales guys, ensuring that we have the right audience and are tagged in the right way. I mean, we can have multiple tags depending on what it is to put them in that segment them out. But how we find that out mostly is through our sales reps to give us the information, so that we are hitting the right audience with the right message.
Brilliant. And tell me a little bit more about yourself, Daniel. Is there any areas you're looking to upskill into, or anything you're keeping an eye on in the market at the moment?
Well, actually, one other thing as well, actually, about I'll just come back on that, but about the email marketing was, and what's really important, and it goes back to probably the first ever type of advertising, which is, word of mouth and reviews. And it's become so important to us that we have as many reviews as possible about the company. And I know one tool that we have been using as well in the past, not recently now, is called Embed Social, which it's not too expensive. And and it's an easy way of pulling any reviews that you have on Google, and just getting unique reviews from that too. It's real good help, from a retention point of view, of course, to have that too. So I just wanted to point that one out.
Yeah, no, and that's great advice. So, Event Social is the name of the platform.
Embed Social. So it's very easy so they have different. You can create forms. You have different reviews. It's very easy to get some data in that if you need it in that sense. So it's a new tool and it's not that expensive, which was great.
And does it pull in all kind of review platforms, not just like, are we talking the likes of Yelp and FIFO and like all these generic review things, or is it your Google reviews and maybe your Facebook reviews?
It's specific to Google, and then they have their own one that you can use. I think the Google one, from an SEO point of view, is nice to have. But
definitely.
But I just because I remember looking into Trustpilot, and the fees for them were quite high, and just it wasn't it wasn't feasible for ourselves.
Yeah, that's really good advice. So I'm guessing there's a free section to this as well as
there's a trial. I think there's a 1 month trial as well. We did that, and to be honest, they're very helpful, the team. So
brilliant.
Yeah, so it's
and as you know, reviews they really work. They really reinforce either a conversion or something like that. So yeah, it's really good advice. And sorry, is there any particular email campaigns that you're really proud of that have had results better than expected?
That's offhand. I can't really think of one. That's terrible, isn't it? To be honest, actually, one that has been good, and again, just going back because it's unique, it's new, unique, is the review one. So we initially sent out an email campaign without any incentive to drive more reviews for our company. However, the comeback on that probably wasn't as good as we expected. However, we did then have some sort of incentive for them to leave reviews, which was great, and we received loads more, which was fantastic. And what really, really helped it was just constantly sending at least twice a week, just to remind our customers just to get involved and for a chance to win a prize. So, that was a successful campaign in my eyes.
Unreal. Yeah, that sounds very good. And one of the questions I mentioned earlier, just around yourself.
Yeah.
Is there anything you're looking at expanding?
Oh, upskilling. Yeah. Well, something that I'm quite interested in at the minute is the third-party marketplaces, for example, Amazon, and understanding, selling on that, of course, from a B2B type of business. I'd love to get into, the fulfillment by Amazon piece. I'm right now we're, it's not just all about, B2B as well, to try and bring in the B2C part too. And that's one thing that I am quite interested in looking more into. We've got one set up. So it's understanding it and kind of type of a suck it and see approach at the minute, and develop those skills on selling through Amazon.
Brilliant. Yeah. And I can see how that could apply to your work down the long run as well.
Yeah.
And anything in the digital industry as a whole, maybe tech-wise, that's coming that you think, that's going to be a game changer for us?
Well, I think for a lot of companies now, there's something that I've seen, and I think it will become a massive thing, is the augmented reality for e-commerce. There's some videos I've seen that, people haven't able to look and see how a chair would look in their living room, different pieces like that. I think that technology will come quicker than we know, I'd say. And I think that will be a massive factor for conversion, and as well, and same with video. Just I I'll ask you, Tom, but I mean, I would rarely read a product description anymore. You know, video is always there now. And it's so important, I think, to have video descriptions. And like I said, this augmented reality, which will eventually become the norm, I can imagine. So that's one thing that I would definitely like look into more and understand what tools to use.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I completely agree. I think there's some really good value there in just getting some really good video content from for on products, whether it's even just the movement around the product. And I don't know if you've seen the video, but Target in America, their shopping experience with a kind of VR headset.
Yes, I did see that. It's
Yeah,
crazy. I mean, it's really it's kind of strange, but like like you can imagine. I mean, how many things have we said was strange 10 years ago, and we're just doing it now? It's just going to be the way it is, and that's one thing that it's always, you know, with an e-commerce website, it's just more so thinking 5 years ahead as opposed to thinking just what's the norm now, you know. You even see on the I just from Ray-Ban. I mean, you can try on glasses without actually being in the store now. It's I'm not too sure if you've ever used that tool.
I have. Yeah, where it asks on your phone and then it puts you on your face. It looks it's not as close as yeah.
It's not there yet. It's not there yet, but it's getting there, and eventually it will. I'd say the technology will be enough to really and wearables as well. I mean, I think people will have some sort of a, you know, whether it be glasses or something they put on their face, and they'll see things pop out of their phone. You know, that was another thing. I was a video of a phone coming out, or a shoe, a runner that was on a phone. You know, that's where I see a lot of the future of e-commerce going.
Really well said. And Daniel, I know you're familiar with the show, but we always ask this question at the end of our episodes,
Yeah.
which is, if you could boil up one personality trait that you have yourself that you could pass on to others, what would it be?
I'm sure everybody loves this question.
Yeah.
For me, I'm going to say confidence. I think it's a thing that, you know, marketers should really have, especially trying to sell ideas, you know, new ideas to whether it be a board, and just the team itself, that having that real, you know, confidence personality really drives it home. It makes them feel, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. He has a passion here, and really wants to get stuck into this, because let's face it, some of the marketing, especially digital marketing, is so new. To try and explain this to someone who is not familiar with it, and then ask for some revenue, from budget to support this. I think it's super important to have that confident approach.
Yeah, really well said. Really well said. Daniel, thank you so much for being on the show. I've absolutely loved speaking to you. And yeah, I'm sure our audience loves what you had to say.
Yeah, listen, Tom, thank you so much. It's been great chatting. You know, and it's been great listening to the podcast. I've enjoyed a lot of and I've picked up some things already from it too. So, you know, I'm delighted to be part of it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, buddy.